This is my first trip to Thailand. I'm not a very travelled person. In my adult life, I didn't start travelling to Europe until I was 28, and the idea of visiting Asia was super intimidating. I had heard a lot about Thailand since I was really young, and I was pissed off at Thailand because they had stole the name I wanted for my private island. That's how young I was. I thought I was going to own an island still. Tyrone land just don't have the same ring to it. I'd seen in movies and on social media, along with second-hand accounts in pubs and from friends, what Thailand is like, but it didn't even come close to painting the picture that is Thailand. So Roselle and I travelled there to see the land of smiles for ourselves and for a wedding. And boy howdy, you must go. The flight took 11 and a half hours and was the longest flight I've ever been on. People always say it's about the journey and not the destination, but they're all full of shit and they mustn't have visited Thailand before. When you get off the plane and then out of the airport, you're instantly hit with humidity. You are now in Southeast Asia, prepared to sweat. Knowing this, we decided to use a Grab, which is an Uber equivalent, and they all have air conditioning and they're not too pricey. It was only about £10 from the airport to central Bangkok, and we were staying in the east of the city, and it's about an hour's drive, maybe a bit longer. A city that is the size of London, and it's not walkable, so public transport has to be good, and it is pretty decent. Metered taxis, Grabs, buses, trains, trams, tuk-tuks, and if you're feeling really brave, motorbike taxis. Now, we didn't use any motorbikes at all because it just seemed a little bit nutty. There's a huge motorcycle culture out there though, and it is common to see whole families with multiple children all on one bicycle or a motorbike. Also, road signs and traffic lights are only suggestions, so people blowing through red lights and going over pedestrian crossings are common and all a contributing reason why we didn't use motorbikes. Here we go, this is us crossing on the green man, and you kind of have to force your way into traffic for them to stop, so just be prepared for that. The street food in Bangkok is really nice, and it's more expensive than I thought it was going to be. It's more expensive than the little restaurants, and about 3 times more expensive. Food is definitely one of my top priorities, being that I'm a chef. Restaurants usually had about 7 tables and had a fan on the wall, and they would turn it on as you sit down, so no flies or it wasn't too hot to be around. And all the tables, they would have a variety of chili sauces from like kind of spicy to, oh my god, what have I just put in my mouth, level of spicy, and like some soy sauce and a couple of other bits depending on the restaurant. And there were countless places, all with loads of different cuisines as well. And in Bangkok, we even had a pizza, and it come with chili and oregano in a bag. And it was the only European food we had in the whole time we was out there. We was eating at restaurants 3 times a day, and it was incredible. I gotta say, eating rice for breakfast was definitely a new one on me, but I can't complain. I really did enjoy it. And our favourite dish, I think our takeaway would have been the khao soy, which is yellow coconut broth with noodles inside of it, chicken leg on top, and fried noodles on top of that. Incredible. It's a Northern Thai and Laos dish, and was recommended by a monk whom we got to speak to for a couple of hours in Chiang Mai. And absolutely an amazing guy. We spoke to the man who set up the monk chat as well. Really good, really decent man. And yeah, I added the young monk on Instagram, and we still speak to this day. He's training to become a pilot soon, which I think is amazing. We started in Bangkok, so we got to see the real busy city. And then we went to Pattaya for a wedding, which was the main event. And then in Pattaya, it had seaside vibes. And we ended in Chiang Mai, which is a more quieter city with mountainsides and countrysides. And Bangkok is absolutely fascinating. We did mainly touristy things and some cultural activities, plus exploring the city. Like at the minute on screen, we're looking for a Boeing 747 that was being used as like a kind of a squat. But it'd been moved, unfortunately, by the time we'd visited there. But we still got to go to the area, speak to a local, and do this nice little adventure outside of water. Travelling around the city and the country was slightly uncomfortable at times. I'm not the tallest person, but I'm sure taller than the average Thai person. So when using transportation, I found myself squashed and squeezed at times. Now, there was a lengthy bus ride from Bangkok to Pattaya, which absolutely killed my back, but Roselle had thought about this and ways to solve the issue. So when we could, we would hire extra legroom in taxis and planes, and it made a world of difference. And more than that, and the thing I maybe missed the most, was a Thai massage. We'd have a Thai massage every 3 days, which really did center me and improve my posture so much. It's a rough massage with the use of elbows and knees, but it's literally heaven. I needed a middle-aged Thai lady to do some Muay Thai on my back regularly. I think that's the only way I'm going to fix it. We'd always shower before we went, and I tipped a deck of cigarettes each time, but it only cost £5 per massage, so it's definitely something to do. And next time I go, I think I'm going to do it on a daily occurrence. We are currently en route to Pattaya, and it was for a wedding, and this was the main reason we had flown out to Thailand in the first place. Roselle had 2 friends from Hong Kong whom she worked with, and they both decided to have their wedding out in Pattaya on a beach. So we couldn't miss it. Pattaya is on the coast as well, so it's got a lot of beaches, and we stayed on a hotel which is on the beach side. Now the room was very high up, and I've grown a slight fear of heights the older I've gotten. But the room came with a balcony, and it was too beautiful of a view to let my fear keep me from enjoying. So I was out there as much as possible. And seeing stray dogs as well was a first for me. This is very interesting, and nothing was aggressive. I didn't see any bad things, but it just felt really unfortunate as I view them as a pet, you know. But it's a different place, and I had to remember that. And Optimus Prime in the wild, slightly unusual, but again, a wonderful little weird and cool thing we got to see. Now in Pattaya, we went to go and see some tigers, which I only briefly touch upon. They was being very heavily sedated. But before then, we got to fire some weaponry. So here's Roselle busting shots out of her assault rifle. And this was like nothing else. This was truly an amazing experience. The smell of the gunfire, the sounds, the targets moving. Oh, there's something. I can see why people like to shoot guns, let's say. At targets, at not living things. I will add that. So waking up in Pattaya, I got to visit the beach each morning. And there's something about standing on sand as soon as I wake up and it being warm. Roselle dancing always helps. Was just phenomenal. So now we've got to the wedding itself. And what was really interesting was that the dress requirements said beachwear. Now you can see a lot of people had different interpretations of what beachwear was. I thought like sandals, shorts, and no top was beachwear, but Roselle politely requested I put on a nice top and some chinos, which I had no problem doing, and it felt more in place to do so, because I think more people went a bit formal than informal, let's say. But it was definitely an amazing celebration of love to see these guys getting married. It was so picturesque. Oh, and the food, obviously, chef's eye. As soon as I seen the food, I was super happy. I would only briefly speak about weed in this video because I've made a separate video and I go into a lot more depth. So if you want to know a bit more about the weed situation in Thailand, please, the link will be in the description. But I will say, nothing I've smoked disappointed me at all. And I've also had some of the strongest smoke and edibles I've ever had as well, being in Thailand. People that haven't travelled there was telling me the smoke was mid. Now, I can tell you that just isn't true. This guy jogging in the 40-degree heat as well, which was something else. But yeah, I'm making an apples to oranges comparison a little bit here. But given the choice versus Thailand or Amsterdam, I'm choosing Thailand every single time. I know it's a country and not a city, but if I could choose Pattaya or Amsterdam every time, I'm choosing Pattaya. Now, taking weed through an airport, that was definitely an unusual experience, I will say that. We've just travelled from Pattaya to Bangkok, and now a flight to Chiang Mai, which, again, it's very odd bringing weed through an airport. I will mention Bangkok has 2 airports though, so don't get lost. We had planned our trip accordingly, but we heard horror stories of folks turning up to the wrong one, and they're about 45 minutes apart. This was our first stop in Chiang Mai, which was one of the night bazaars. Absolutely beautiful place, great food, and there was a guy playing like Dire Straits as well, which is really, really unusual, but I love to hear it. And this was where I got the best smoke I probably had ever. It's called Vice City. Absolutely hits. So Chiang Mai stands out for a lot of reasons, and I got to say smoking is one of them. However, saying about smoking, whilst we was in Chiang Mai, the air quality was so awful. It was 3rd in the world for worst air quality, and the equivalent to smoking 7 cigarettes a day. This is one of the temples we visited, and this is where we got to see the monk and the guy that made the monk chant. But yeah, you can tell health and safety was very, very different to what we normally used to. Another core memory we made in Thailand was visiting the elephants. That was truly something else. It was a long journey to get there, involving multiple vehicles and a dodgy drive up the hill in the back of a pickup truck with like 15 other people. But the destination to feeding the elephants and having the pool party with them was so amazing. And unlike the tigers, I felt this place was really treating the animals quite well, and it was an ethical kind of place. There was no cages, no chains, no whips. And having elephants shoot water at you through its trunk whilst wanting water thrown on them is some of the best wholesome fun I think you can ever have. Going up to see the elephants, going up the mountain, we got to see a lot of makeshift houses and kind of structures that was a lot more do-it-yourself, let's say. And it was super intriguing to see this kind of side of Thailand where we'd seen the seaside, we'd seen the urban city, and now we was up in the mountains, seeing how the northern parts of Thailand lived. We got to see the boss man of the place before we left. Land of the smiles, as you can see, my guy was smiling. Now we went to Yakuza Cannabis, and the guy gave us a gram for half a gram just before food. And now listen to this as well. On screen is the cow soy I mentioned earlier. Oh, wonderful stuff. And you just heard the cicadas. My lord, were they loud. I weren't prepared for it. And this is some of their brethrens. We kind of ate some silkworms and some lava worms, I believe it was. Very nice. It's like crunchy matter. But I recommend again. You think it's going to be super gross and horrible, but it's nothing like you're picturing. It's actually quite nice. And a really good source of protein. I'm going to end the video here by saying Thailand should be in everyone's top 5 countries to visit, and honestly do as much time as you can there. It has everything you need at a really good price, and I feel really lucky to have experienced it with Roselle. So thank you, Roselle. And I look forward to our next adventure. Barbados. Currently you can see the New Year's festival, Sokran festival happening, where everyone just gets to throw water at everybody. How fantastic is that?